For a class period Friday morning, the HNHS cafeteria was filled with serial killers. Well, not really. Since early March, Mrs. Mickley's forensics students have been learning about several American serial killers and held a March Madness-style bracket challenge, pitting those killers against one another. The unit culminated with a gallery walk Monday, allowing students to share what they had learned.
And so we did a bracketology. I introduced 32 American serial killers to them on the 1st of March, and they pitted themselves against each other, and the serial killer that had the most killings advanced. So we had a Sweet 16 and an Elite 8 and a Final 4, and Samuel Little was our winner. And so that's where it just started kind of piquing their interest.
While many of the students were familiar with some of the serial killers, they were surprised to learn about many of the lesser-known, sometimes more prolific criminals.
So leading up to this, we have studied forensics as far as crime scene processing. We have learned what DNA does, how to use hair and fibers, right, to connect crimes with crime scenes and crime scenes with victims. So we've been leading up to all of this, so now they can better understand how these criminals, these prolific criminals, some of them, Samuel Little, 93 victims, like wow, nobody had heard of him.
After Samuel Little was determined as the top killer in the bracket challenge, students were able to choose a criminal and apply what they had learned and begin researching them on a deeper level.
We chose him because we thought it was really interesting how he just didn't really care to tell people about what he did. And he was just really tired to keep going with his whole killing spree and stuff. And so he just knew he was doing wrong, and he just eventually confessed to it all. And it was just really interesting how he could just say all those things of what he did to these people.
Well, he murdered 15 women, and one of the women was pregnant, 6 months pregnant, and so he strangled all of them, and also raped all of them. And it was just interesting.
The deeper research is when Mickley noticed the students becoming more interested in the project.
This is where part of their research was understanding why. Why do these serial killers develop into the monsters that they are? What gets them there? Is it something in their background? Is it something in their brain? So learning how to differentiate and then learning how they get caught and how forensics and criminologists will use what they collect from the crime scene to catch these serial killers. So.
Once the students got into the psychological element of their chosen killer, the students were intrigued, but also a little uncomfortable at times.
There's been some discussion like, ooh, what? Why would somebody do that? That's just not logical to them.
The fact that he's still alive, he is in California State Prison on death row though, so I mean, he's not going to be able to do anything. But
some of the things I was like, oh my gosh, what? I'm like, I can't imagine doing these things to people, but it was also interesting at the same time because it's how their minds work. Yeah. It was just really, really interesting.
Despite those challenging topics and discussions, this serial killer gallery is ultimately one of the students' favorite activities in class.
We haven't really done many projects besides creating a crime scene by ourselves, but this is probably my favorite.
So today I'm super enthused with how much energy is in this room, listening to my kiddos talk and share what they learned. Hearing them use the words that we've been kind of focused on is that's what makes it okay for me. So yeah, this is certainly easier than sitting in a classroom listening to me talk about fiber and hair.